Take us back to the days of the Bush administration, and we all know how well that worked, didn't we? It's unfortunate that if they could do as good of a job managing the economy as they do where they want to manage women's lives, I think we'd be in much better shape, don't you think? Yeah. So, you know, I think we've been hearing this a lot about how each election matters. This is the most important election of our time. But no doubt about it, this one is it. It's good that we're all coming out early to support Rob, because we have a long, hard fight ahead of us in the first all over Wisconsin, and it's important that you get engaged, that you get your friends and neighbors engaged, that that you get yourself up to date on the talking points, because this is going to be a person-to-person fight, no doubt about it. And we won this. You know, we got as far as we did on the recall thanks to the effort of volunteers. There was not the big outside money that Walker was talking about. There was not the big outside wave of volunteers that Walker was talking about. We did it all by ourselves. And I think if we play it correctly, because there's going to be just a flood of money coming into the state. I think if we do this correctly, we can turn that money against Walker, because let's face it, with all the commercials that have just driven us up the wall since Thanksgiving, from paid for by the Koch brothers and other outside interests, Walker has not moved an inch in his popularity, and we have not yet begun to fight. So I think that gives you some idea of where we're going to be coming from in this election. So thank you all for coming. We'd also, on behalf of Grassroots North Shore, the members of Grassroots North Shore, glad you can make it. I want to bring up to the stage one of the other organizers of this event, Tammy Bockhorst.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Rob Zerban, for being here and for running against one of the most destructive congressmen around. So you've done a great job. It's been great knowing you in the last year and a half. We have a lot of community leaders here, too many to give a personal shout out to everyone. But thank you, and I also want to thank and plug my friend Kathy Papanow, who provided the food for this evening. So one of our supporters was unable to make it tonight. I was with her this afternoon at her mother's wake, and that would be Sandy Pash, Representative Pash. Her mother passed. Oh. No, that was for Sandy. No, that was for Sandy. Okay, let's give a shout out to Sandy Pash. So she did tell me to make sure to tell you, Rob, that she's sorry she can't be here, and she'll catch up with you in the next couple of weeks. So also we have another hero who's fighting the demons of the right here tonight, so I'd like to pass the mic to Senator Larson.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you, Keith, and thanks to all of you for being here tonight. I think it's always great that we're able to take a step away from the fight that we're in, the fight to retake the state senate, the fight to retake the governor's mansion, and the fight to really take control of Wisconsin. We're able to take a break from that and focus on what's next on the horizon, which is defeating Paul Ryan once and for all. And to that effect, I mean, if you know, it's always funny. I've always noticed that Paul Ryan is always praised by right-wing media. He's praised as being, oh, this bold new guy, you know. But he's got the exact same old ideas that the Republican Party has had since the 50s. They just threw a new face on it, Paul Ryan's, and they said, oh, look at all these brand new, bold ideas of re-changing Social Security, of changing Medicare, of trying to let churches control contraception instead of letting women control that, you know, of trying to have the government control the women's bodies. All these old ideas, not new at all, but they're just saying, oh, look, it's Paul Ryan, he's a young new guy, so let him go out there. He's the new face of the Republican Party. And I think it's fantastic that now we have a really great candidate to step up against him and really challenge Paul Ryan and challenge that and what's been happening in the 1st District. A district, mind you, that Barack Obama won in the last election. A district that can go Democratic for Congress because it has in the past. And it's really up to you. It's up to the grassroots. We're not going to have, you're never going to have the vast amounts of money that Paul Ryan has access to. You know, he's more aptly representing the Wall Street district than the 1st District of Wisconsin. So you're never going to have that money. But we do have is what makes Wisconsin successful, what makes Wisconsin politics successful, and that's you. That's the people of Wisconsin, the grassroots, the people who are stepping up, taking notice, and really making sure that their voices are heard in our democracy, making sure that, look, this guy doesn't represent us, we're going to get somebody who does. And Rob, just to give you a little bit of background, if you don't know him, I know most of you do, Rob is somebody I'm lucky enough to call a friend. And we also have a similar taste in women. Both of our wives are psychologists, PhDs, which will go...
Beautiful.
Exactly, both beautiful and both psychologists, which helps. And I'll just say that without further comment. Rob has also had a great passion for the environment. Sitting on the board of the League of Conservation Voters, which has been at the heart of many of the fights that are going on around the state. So Rob has been involved on the political side of things. Beyond that, he's also been involved on the business side of things. Rob is the candidate that Republicans wish they had. Somebody who actually has run small businesses. So if you've noticed that little tool has fallen out of Paul Ryan's arsenal of saying we need to look out for the small businessman, because that's Rob. You know,
Successful.
Exactly, successful business. So Rob has been on you know, he's coming from many fronts, and he really knows the issues, he knows his community, and he's been out there, he's been running for a year, and the election's creeping up on us, and I'm really excited for where the momentum is going to go. And it's nice that you guys are here, because you're on the front rows of this, because as soon as we take the governor's mansion back, and as soon as we retake the Senate, we're going to have to take a really deep breath and get back out there and make sure we can take this seat back for Democrats, for the state of Wisconsin. And I'm introducing the guy who's going to do that, Rob Zerban.
Wow, Chris is such a tough act to follow. Nobody says it better. One thing Chris did forget to mention that we have in common also is we both served in the county boards of our respective counties. Chris started as a county board supervisor and quickly shot up, you know, took on an out-of-touch state senator who was a Democrat in name only. And I'm very proud and happy to say, as a member of the board of the directors for the Wisconsin Lake Conservation, voters came out early and strong behind Chris. It was the right choice to defeat Senator Plaley and take the seat back really for the people. So I do have a little surprise for you, Chris. A little birdie told me you have a little bit of a sweet tooth for something called an iced paradise cookie.
Oh my God.
So there's actually 3 of them in here who you might want to share with a pregnant wife.
See that now you're so in front of all that.
These come from Mars Cheese Castle. Mars Cheese Castle has some of the best cheese, but also the best cookies in the world. Ice Paradise, I might break a few apart if I'm nice.
Thank you.
So, it is truly wonderful to be here with so many wonderful people who are supporting me when I'm not even in this district. I don't know, you know, I wouldn't be representing you as your congressman, but you can bet that I will be representing all the people of Wisconsin, not the corporations. So I'm doing this truly for all of us. I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. Can I see a show of hands for everybody who would like to defeat Paul Ryan this November? Okay. So we're in the right place. Now, also let me see a show of hands of somebody, if you know somebody who has lost a job during this horrible recession. Somebody who's had a house foreclosed upon? Okay. Yeah. So we all know somebody who's been truly affected by the bad economic policies of the Bush administration. Chris, you know, gave you some insight into my businesses, my experience, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about where I came from and how I lived my version of the American dream. I grew up in a single-parent home just next to East St. Louis in Southern Illinois. My mom worked really hard, but wasn't always enough, so we had to rely on government programs like government cheese, and I received free lunch and milk at school because that's just the way it is sometimes when you are poor. I was able to get an education because I qualified for things like Pell Grants and Stafford loans. I graduated from the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. And I did become one of these job creators that the Republicans like to talk about. I created 45 jobs where I provided excellent benefits, executive plan insurance, an HMO, PPO, Blue Cross Blue Shield executive plan. And I subsidized it by 70% and had 90% of my employees participate in it. So I know how to write responsible budgets. I know how to balance benefits in the bottom line. And unlike my opponent, I will go to DC and do that. And you know the really funny thing about that? I didn't need a tax loophole for a corporate jet to do it. So, I ran 2 successful businesses, I employed people, and a lot of my friends say, Rob, why is it that you're a Democrat? And I look at them and I say, because I believe in people, not corporations. If you want to say, I gave birth to 2 corporations, and I know they don't vote, and I know money's not speech, and I know that corporations need to bend to the will of people. People do not need to bend to the will of corporations, and we have lost sight of that. When you take on somebody like Paul Ryan, the number one question that I'm faced with over and over again is, can you beat him? And the answer is quite simply, yes, we can. And we will. And I'm going to give you a little bit of insight as to why and how. You got some insight about me and where I come from and where my beliefs are rooted. And let me tell you about the viability of the campaign and why we can win the seat back this November. Paul Ryan is the highest ranking Republican who's made himself vulnerable this year. We're not going to get John Boehner, we're not going to get Eric Cantor, but Paul Ryan is representing a moderate district. This is a district that was represented by Les Aspin. Many of you remember him, went to the defense secretary for President Clinton. And he was a good Democrat. It's a moderate district. President Obama carried it with 52% of the vote. It's a UAW district, having plants in Janesville, Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee. It's a very winnable district. It's a blue district. It needs to go blue again, and we can do it. In the off year, I raised over $500,000. $220,000 of that came in the last 3 months. So the fundraising is skyrocketing. We're getting good support and endorsements. Randy Bryce is here. The Ironworkers, I'm proud to say, was the first group to endorse me. Since then, we've received the endorsement of all the major labor organizations in the state, AFL, CIO, SEIU. Senator Russ Feingold has endorsed my campaign. So we have got good backing of good progressive people. The PCCC has been helping out. Everything is lining up just perfect for us to be able to win the seat back. 1, Scott Walker has united the Democratic base and mobilized us in a way we have never seen in a lifetime. Paul Ryan has made himself extremely vulnerable, trying to privatize Medicare, Social Security, and making Medicaid into a block grant program. These things are not tolerable, and people understand that. So he's made himself vulnerable, and people are excited about me as a candidate. They like my personal story. They like that I've lived my version of the American dream and know why these programs need to be there for other people so they can live their version of the American dream also. People are excited. We had standing room only at our campaign kickoff in Racine on Monday night. Corey Mason was there. He said he'd never seen so many people at a political rally. It was unbelievable. Mike Tate called me. He's like, I heard what the hell happened in Racine. So it was great. And Walworth County was the same thing. We've got lots of energy and excitement. Walworth County. Who knew there were Democrats in Walworth County? I didn't. But there was a big turnout on Tuesday. And then we just had a fundraiser in Janesville where we raised 3 times the amount of money we thought we'd even get close to.
All right.
So it's going strong. So we are continuing our campaign kickoffs throughout the 6 counties that are part of the 1st Congressional District. We are going to be in Milwaukee at the UAW Hall down on South Howell Avenue on Saturday at 2:30. And we're in Waukesha prior to that, so I don't want to get my times confused. So I sincerely appreciate your support. Please come out to support us at the UAW Hall on Saturday. If you're in Milwaukee County, there's lots of events on the website. Check it out. You know, everything's going the right way. We need to have your support, your time, your treasure. Please write big checks. Paul Ryan does have a big war chest, but as we've seen with Scott Walker, it doesn't matter if you've got $4 million or $8 million. If you don't have the people behind you, you are not going to win. And that is why we are going to take back the Senate. We will get rid of Scott Walker. We will re-elect Barack Obama and elect Tammy Baldwin, and then get rid of Paul Ryan at the same time. So I want to make sure that I do thank everybody who is here tonight. I'd like to thank my wonderful staff. Unfortunately, my campaign manager couldn't be here tonight. She's in D.C. Getting trained for the Red to Blue program, which we made it to. It means we're one of the top targeted races in the nation to take back the House. That is huge news because this race has not been targeted since Peter Barca lost his seat. And I obviously need to thank my beautiful psychologist wife for keeping my head straight. You know, behind every great man, there's a better woman. And I know that. You know, Republicans talk about, you know, keeping government out of our private lives, but they're the first ones to jump in your bedroom. And that's just wrong. And don't understand what it's about with contraception and women's health issues. And I promise I will go there and I will be a strong advocate for the environment, for women's health issues, and for the people of Wisconsin, preserving Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and the American dream. So thank you everybody very much.
Just real quick, I wanted to mention also thanking the host, the Public House, which is a co-op bar, second in the nation. So please give them a round of applause. And don't just applaud for them, be sure and tip your bartenders very nicely. We also have an amazing candidate in the house, Carolina. She's short. Carolina Stark, where is she? There she is. She's right in front. Carolina is running against a Walker appointee in the April 3rd election, so make sure you mark your calendars. Most people are not voting on April 3rd, but make sure you do, because it's a very, very crucial election that you have your choice, not Scott Walker's choice, on April 3rd. And with that, thank you for coming and attending. Chip in a little bit more if you can. Make sure that we are sending Paul Ryan packing. If he wants to work for Wall Street, he can go do that, not on the people of Wisconsin's time.